As far as crowd pleaser pasta sauces are concerned, vodka sauce has got to be in the top 5. But I've been put onto a little twist that changes the game. First, instead of vodka, you use mezcal. This stuff tastes like a mouthful of campfire, so a little splash in the sauce is going to add a noticeable layer of smoke. It's significantly more expensive than cheap vodka, but since it's so intensely flavored, you really won't need very much of it. It's the perfect use case for people who love mezcal, who always have some on hand, and for people who hate mezcal and don't know what to do with the one bottle they've been hanging on to for half a decade. The second eyebrow raiser in this dish is gochujang, which does sound strange, but I want to explain why it works. This is a thick, fermented Korean chili paste that's a little spicy, but not enough to blow your top off. Some of the most popular vodka sauce recipes use a combination of crushed tomatoes and tomato paste, because the paste adds a deeper, more concentrated flavor. Gochujang can contribute that savory backbone and contribute enough moderate spice to replace any crushed red chili flake you might have otherwise used. So here's the full process. Finely mince 1 small shallot and 2 garlic cloves. This is actually one of those cases where I'll use a mandolin for the shallot and a garlic press for the garlic. The smaller you can get these ingredients, the less they'll stand out texturally in the final dish. Heat a tablespoon each of olive oil and butter over medium heat. I like to use this stainless steel frying pan because it's deep and because it won't react to the acidic sauce. The aromatics will start getting translucent in about 2 minutes, after which you can pour in 2 ounces of mezcal. If you really like that smoky flavor, you can bump it up to 2.5 ounces, but a single shot is really a good place to start. Plop 2 tablespoons of gochujang into the pan and stir all of that together for 2 more minutes. The alcohol is going to extract a bunch of flavor from those aromatics, and the heat is going to cook off most of the alcohol. At this point, add a 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, stir it all together, and leave that to simmer on the lowest heat possible for at least 15 minutes. And that's about how long it takes for me to get a salted pot of water boiling and a ½ pound of pasta cooking. Penne or rigatoni would be the most traditional choices, but we threw tradition out the window long ago. Anything in a medium size and a forkable shape that holds on to smooth sauce is gonna shine here. This is coming up on done, so I want to finish the sauce with ½ a cup of cream. The recipe I learned this from uses regular heavy cream, but this time around I used crema, a Mexican table cream. It's a teeny bit thicker and a tiny bit more flavorful, but it also emulsifies into a slightly less uniform color. It doesn't really matter too much either way, but I figure if you're using Oaxacan mezcal, why not pair it with Mexican cream? By the way, it's at this point that if you do wish for a totally smooth sauce, you can blend it. It makes a bigger mess, and it's not really necessary if you made teeny tiny cuts earlier in the process, but I know some people like it chunkless. It's all a matter of preference. Get that cooked pasta into the sauce and the dish is complete. I do want to garnish it with parm and some finely minced herbs, think parsley or basil. The final dish is creamy, aromatic, and likely to hit you with sneaky little punches of smoke, spice, and funk. It's got that perfect mix of 80% familiar friend and 20% brand new fancy tickler. Sometimes I'll make a pint of the sauce by itself just to have in the fridge. You could treat it like a condiment for grilled chicken, but this past Super Bowl weekend I used some for a Detroit-style pizza, some for a meatball sandwich. I'm already imagining using it for a chicken parmesan next time. Come on. Olvide about it. Finding a use for it is the easy part. Figuring out what you want to call it, that's on you. My working title, chingadera sauce. What do you think? Athletic Greens has paid to be mentioned at the end of this video. Athletic Greens makes AG1, the nutritional drink that packs a daily dose of probiotics for digestion, B12 for energy, biotin for beauty, and general good stuff into one scoop. I think that there are at least a dozen reasons why someone who's way smarter than me about nutrition and supplements might try AG1, but if I am to stay in my proverbial lane when talking about a product such as this one, I will talk mostly about the taste. If you're trying to start a habit, it cannot be overstated how much easier it is when that habit is enjoyable. I've tried greens powders before, but they were all so unpalatable that you pretty much have to blend them into a smoothie or with some other stuff to mask the taste. AG1, however, is a whole other thing that tastes good on its own, which means you won't find any excuses like, I don't want to get the blender dirty, or I'm out of frozen blueberries. 1 scoop of powder and 12 ounces of water is something that you can knock back in less than a minute to start the day. If you'd like to try it for yourself, use the link in the description to get a 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D3, K2, and 5 travel packs free with your first purchase.